Part 1. The First Impression. The rhythmic click of Ava Remington's Louboutin heels echoed through the marble-floored lobby of Sterling Von Moore LLP. It was a sound that commanded attention and respect, much like the woman herself. At 54 years old, Ava carried the presence of someone who had never been denied anything she wanted. Her silver-streaked hair was meticulously styled in a sleek chignon, her bespoke Chanel suit tailored to perfection, exuding wealth and power that had been generations in the making. Ava had arrived early. Punctuality, to her, was not just a courtesy, but a declaration of control. She approached the reception desk, where a young woman greeted her with a practiced smile. "Ms. Remington," the receptionist said politely. "Mr. Sterling sends his apologies, but he's assigned one of our senior associates to your case. Mr. Nathaniel Carter will be with you shortly." Ava's eyes narrowed. "I requested to meet with Charles Sterling personally," she said icily. "I don't work with subordinates." Before the receptionist could respond, the door to the inner offices opened. Nathaniel Carter emerged with a calm and confident stride. At 36, he exuded a quiet authority. His deep brown skin contrasted sharply with his crisp, white shirt, and his charcoal gray suit was clean and neat, though it lacked the bespoke polish that Ava was accustomed to seeing on high-powered attorneys. "Ms. Remington," Nathaniel said, extending his hand with an easy smile. "I am Nathaniel Carter. It's a pleasure to meet you." Ava gave him a glance, first at his hand, then at his face, and made no move to reciprocate the handshake. Her gaze drifted down to his suit, and her lips curled into a faint, disdainful smile. "Did you pick that up at a clearance sale?" she asked coolly. "I'm paying Sterling Von Moore premium. I expect representation that looks the part." The receptionist's cheeks colored, but Nathaniel's composure didn't falter. He slowly lowered his hand and nodded politely. "I understand your concern, Ms. Remington," he said evenly. "Rest assured, it's my expertise, not my wardrobe, that will make the difference in your case. Shall we discuss your situation in my office?" "Your office?" Ava scoffed. "I'm not discussing a $12 million inheritance dispute in some junior associate's cubicle. It's a small office, but private," Nathaniel said smoothly. "Unless you prefer the conference room." The conference room. Obviously. 10 minutes later, they sat across from each other at a gleaming walnut table, the Manhattan skyline visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Ava observed Nathaniel as he laid out his files and notes, his movements methodical and efficient. "So," Ava began, arching a perfectly shaped brow, "did they assign you to me because you're black? Is this some kind of diversity initiative I'm funding without my consent?" Nathaniel met her gaze steadily. "I was assigned to you, Ms. Remington, because I specialize in contested estates and inheritance litigation. Your case requires expertise in both areas." Ava made a dismissive gesture at his suit. "And that's you? In your JCPenney special?" Nathaniel gave a faint smile and opened her case file. "Let's focus on your father's estate, shall we?" Part 2. Unveiling the Truth. For all her condescension, Ava couldn't deny that Nathaniel knew his craft. Over the next hour, he asked detailed questions about the will, the foundation her father had endowed, and the circumstances leading up to the sudden change in the estate's distribution. Despite herself, Ava found his professionalism difficult to ignore. Still, when he walked her to the elevator, she couldn't resist a final jab. "You know," she said, pausing before stepping inside, "a good lawyer is like a designer handbag. You can always tell the genuine article from a cheap knockoff." Nathaniel inclined his head slightly, his expression unreadable. "I look forward to proving I'm the genuine article, Ms. Remington." That evening, long after the office had emptied, Nathaniel sat at his desk, reviewing the complex web of documents relating to the Remington estate. Ava's father, Henry Remington, had been a real estate magnate with a legacy spanning half a century. Yet, 3 weeks before his unexpected death, he had revised his will to allocate 75% of his fortune, over $12 million, to the Remington Foundation rather than to Ava, his only child. Something didn't add up. The foundation's board was composed of Henry's former business associates, several of whom had dubious histories. And then there was the matter of Meridian Advisory Group, an obscure consultancy that had received nearly $3 million in fees from the foundation in the past year alone. Nathaniel's instincts told him something was deeply wrong. Part 3. A Fragile Alliance. The following afternoon, Ava called. "I've decided to give you 2 weeks," she said without preamble. "Impress me." Nathaniel's investigation was relentless. By the end of the first week, he had uncovered a pattern of financial irregularities in the foundation's operations. Funds earmarked for affordable housing projects had vanished. Properties the foundation claimed to have developed didn't exist, and tax filings revealed payments funneled through Meridian to offshore accounts. On a humid Wednesday morning, Nathaniel met Ava in his modest office to present his findings. "They're stealing your inheritance," he said plainly, showing her the paper trail that led directly to Bradley Chambers, the foundation's lead counsel, and his network of shell companies. Ava's face went pale. This was supposed to be my father's legacy." Nathaniel nodded. "We need to act quickly." Together, they attended a high-stakes meeting at Harrington Chambers Vaudin, the foundation's law firm. Ava was all poise and elegance. Nathaniel, wearing his best, though still modest, suit, was quiet but firm. By the end of the meeting, Nathaniel's pointed questions about Meridian Advisory and the missing funds had rattled the opposition. Ava, watching the subtle shifts in body language and the sudden hesitations in answers, realized that her attorney, this man she had dismissed, was their greatest weapon. Part 4. Justice in Motion. Over the next month, Ava and Nathaniel worked side by side. She no longer commented on his attire. Instead, she found herself listening to his insights and respecting his meticulous preparation. When the case reached Judge Eleanor Barrett's courtroom, the evidence Nathaniel presented was overwhelming. Subpoenaed bank records, sworn affidavits from Henry Remington's longtime assistant, and medical records suggesting Henry had been mentally compromised when he amended his will, all pointed to a deliberate scheme to defraud Ava of her rightful inheritance. The courtroom murmured as Nathaniel described in precise detail how Bradley Chambers and the foundation board members had siphoned millions into offshore accounts. Part 5. A Legacy Restored. When Judge Barrett ruled in Ava's favor, ordering the dissolution of the Remington Foundation and criminal proceedings against its board members, Ava turned to Nathaniel with genuine gratitude. "You've not only won my case," she said softly, "you've restored my father's name." Nathaniel nodded. That was always the goal. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. When one asked Ava about her initial reluctance to work with Nathaniel, she replied candidly, "I judged him by his appearance. I was wrong." 6 months later, Ava visited Nathaniel in his new corner office at Sterling Von Moore, bringing with her a custom-tailored suit as a gift. "For the man who changed everything," she said with a smile. Nathaniel chuckled. Some habits are hard to break. She also shared her plans for a new foundation, one that truly built affordable housing, and asked for his guidance. "I need someone who sees beyond the surface," she said. "Someone who understands what integrity looks like." As they sat in a neighborhood diner later that evening, sharing stories over coffee and pie, Ava realized that true wealth was measured not in fortunes, but in character. And Nathaniel Carter, in his humble suit, had proven himself richer than most. Dear reader, in a world that often judges by appearances, this story reminds us that true value lies within. Let us look beyond the surface, embracing empathy, integrity, and understanding in all our interactions. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring tales.